Here's the problem. Now I'm 80 years old. I want to turn the clock back. 5'2.5". Inherently poorly coordinated. I had no speed and no mental quickness, alertness. Because my mind followed what my body could do. I was not coordinated, not balanced, and I had no power, no brute power at all, when I was young. I lifted weights, but I lifted it all wrong because I was concentrating on building large competitive muscle, and I didn't have the aesthetics for it. My body was not able to build power. I couldn't build power in my body. I only built technique power, which was really non-functional power out there in the real world. It's just an ego workout is what we used to call it in the old days in bodybuilding. Just an ego workout. It had no function at all. Just to make you feel dangerously secure if you were never tested. Then you'd feel dangerously secure inside yourself that you were a lot better than you really were. But the weights tightened me up badly. It built a short muscle that was really non-functional, had no endurance, it had no stamina, it had no stretch behind it. And I didn't have the good sense to condition. I never worked my abs. I had a fat waist. I never worked my abs. I thought the abs would get it from the other exercises I did with the weights. It was old school. It was volume training. But I had no strategy and no real goals in lifting weights. So I lifted sloppily. I just threw the weight up and threw it down again. I had no biomechanical knowledge of how the muscle functions. I didn't understand the exercise I was doing with the weights, and so I actually harmed myself with the weights. I built tightness. Became muscle bound. When I should have been concentrating on movement, balance, stretch, flexibility, and cardio fitness. I needed that desperately. Hand power, shoulder power, speed. And to get the mind-body coordination so the body could do what the mind told it to do in a situation of social extremity. When you only have yourself to protect yourself, there's nobody around. It's only you to protect yourself in that situation. Everything you don't know will haunt and hurt you. You have to know your limitations. You have to know what you have to evaluate performance every day. You have to keep records of what you're doing. And you have to have some way to test your progress and your functionality under real world conditions of social extremity. And that's all practical. The theoretical thinking, the strategic thinking without practice in the real world is dangerously misleading. I found that out. First thing is conditioning. You can't function with a big fat belly like I had. I carried a fat gut that slowed me down and will make you lethargic and ugly in physical posture and physical presentation in the real world under pressure of embarrassment, humiliation, and stress. And the real question is, how do you know? Have you ever done it? What happened when you did it? Who is the man standing in front of me right now? Functionally speaking. What can he do? It's all performance. It's all show me. Don't tell me what you could do. Show me. Do it. It has to be evaluated by someone who knows exactly what to look for. And to get the exact evidence on the man of what he can and cannot do. Not what he says he can do, but what he actually physically can do when he's tested and tested hard. In other words, what I'm saying is the man has to know himself in the real world as he functions in the real world. Don't tell me what you could do theoretically. It doesn't count. As a matter of fact, it provides the wrong information. It provides bad information. When you did it, whatever you did, what did you say? What did you do? How did you say it? What did you look like when you said it? What was your posture like? What was the tone of your voice like? What was the content of what you said? Now, all of this is available to consciousness. Nothing I'm talking about requires an unconscious or instincts that you claim provoke you to do what you do, or conditioning. It's only who and what you are in the now, in performance right now. That's who you are. Period. So who are you? What are you, and how are you your who in the real world when it counts? When you and I must perform when it matters. What do you know? What can you do? Don't tell me, show me. I want to know about your physical conditioning, your aerobic conditioning, your speed, your balance, especially for a short man like me, 5'2½". Balance, coordination, speed, angles, fearlessness, and aggression. Predatorial skills are the most important thing to test for. And with a background, with a physical support behind him in his own body, then his words have to ask for what he wants right now in this situation. And you have to tell yourself, how far is the ground? You have to be able to go down and get up quickly and keep on fighting. Keep on fighting. Don't stop. Don't quit. That takes stamina. That takes endurance. That takes courage. That takes training. That takes preparation. And that takes getting your mind right. And making sure your mind is in control of your body. Your critical thinking is totally in control of your instincts. But that takes preparation. It takes evaluation. How do you know you can do what you say you can? Have you ever done it? And when you attempted to do it, what was the results? I've got to know what the patterns are. You train to look for patterns. You train to look for behavior that I call force of habit behavior. You're doing it because it's a habit. And because you settle for the results of what that habit is getting you out there in the real world. Some men just throw their arms up and just quit dead. Then they have to run and hide. They have to settle for the crumbs, whatever they can get. Then they have to look up to gurus, hero figures, for answers, for hope. And all the answers and all the hope is dangerously misleading. Who are you? How are you your who in a real world? What do you say? What do you do as a pattern in situations? You've got to hold yourself prisoner and thoroughly interrogate yourself, step by step, ruthlessly. You go from prompt to prompt. You go from information gain to more information gain. It's called differential diagnosis. And you better be right about who you are, and what your capacities and what you can do and what you need, what you're lacking from a practical point of view. And you better be right about all of that or you get hurt. Nobody can step in for you. Nobody can take away your care, your problem, your situation. You're the one that's with yourself 24/7. And if you don't know yourself, who you are, no one else does either. It's a pay-as-you-go world. Each has their own. None has the time. That's a given. If you get the Good Samaritan, you were lucky. It's as simple as that. If you're waiting for Godot, he'll never come. He's not coming. That's a hard reality to have to face, especially if you believe in surrogates. Mommy replacements, I call them. However, they only exist out of luck and chance. That's all you have to meet that Good Samaritan, that rescuer. The chances of meeting that Good Samaritan when you need him in a situation of social extremity are very small. What I'm saying is you have to train and practice and have the confidence to be street smart, street skilled, and be able to handle a situation under your own power. Whatever it takes. You have to compensate. You have to train for that compensation. You have to train for your physique type, your temperament. Natural no good. Natural no good. You train for the unnatural. You train for what you can't do by nature, and you train it into yourself. And of course, I'm talking about aggression, predatorial skills, and proven effective compensations. I know of no other answer than that. Everything else is a fairy tale. Everything else is Santa Claus. I don't believe in Santa.